The Raptors get back into the win column as they hang on to beat the Brooklyn Nets 110-102. And for most of this basketball game, the Raptors were in front. Every time the Nets seemed to make a run to cut it to 5 or whatnot, or even lower than that, the Raptors seemed to kind of just push away once again. And they end up coming out on top, like I said, 110-102 at Scotiabank Arena, get back into the win column after that rough loss against Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. But let's talk about this game, because there's someone emerging as, I think, a much better player than we anticipated coming into the year. We all hoped that he would progress, a guy that we all hoped that would take a next step and whatnot. We didn't see it early on in the year. But Norman Powell, this guy is turning out to be something incredible right now. Now, it could just be a really hot stretch that he's on right now, but from what we are seeing over the last little bit, when this team has been struggling, since these guys have been struggling since that Utah game at home, Norman Powell has been the consistent guy who's balled out night in, night out, and yeah, last night was no exception. He played 33 minutes. He was obviously in the starting unit. Had 25 points, 4 boards, and an assist on 10 of 15 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3, and he had 2 block shots and was a plus 18 while he was on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, Powell's points per game has jumped a mile up to 14.1. He's shooting 48% from the field on the year, 38% from 3, 81% from the line. Those numbers are remarkable. And it's not only, the numbers that look so good when Powell's out there. He gives you that defense, and we have seen that since the moment he's come into this league. We all knew that he was a great defender, and, he's a very active defender, and wow, that's crazy. He's a really good-looking player. We haven't seen him take that next step offensively. Now, over the last little while, we have seen that. Now, obviously, with Fred VanVleet eventually coming back, what are they going to do? They're going to move him right back to the bench, which is going to be really frustrating. However, are they going to integrate, bring him into the unit, kind of what they did with Fred VanVleet in the playoffs? You guys know what I mean? Because with Fred VanVleet, you look at his numbers in the playoffs, you wouldn't think that he's coming off the bench, but he was, because Danny Green was in the starting unit. Now, are they going to start to put Powell maybe into that play? Because obviously, he's playing some of the best basketball I think we have ever seen him play. You look at the last stretch that he's had, obviously, other than the 8 points against Philly, you go back to even the Orlando game, in Orlando, and the Raptors really struggled. He had 33 in that game, 15 against Utah, 23 against Miami, 14 against Houston, obviously 8 against Philly, 17 against Chicago, 22 against the Clippers, and 25 against Brooklyn. Now, a lot of those games are shooting 50% plus. He shot 66% from the field, obviously, against Brooklyn last night, 63 against the Clippers. Yeah, 43 against Chicago, kind of struggled, and Philly only 37. But then you go to Houston, where he shot 50%. Miami, where he shot 57% from the field. Utah, 50%. And then Orlando, shooting 66% from the field. That stretch Norman Powell has been on right now is incredible. The question we now have is this legit? Or is Norman Powell just a hot player right now, and he'll come back down to earth at some point? I don't know. I want to think that this is the Norman Powell we're going to have for the future now. But again, only time is going to tell. But what a basketball game last night. The way this team kind of, propelled themselves to victory, the way they put themselves on top early. It was a really, really, really bad start to the basketball game. But as the game went along, the Raptors started to find themselves a little bit. Obviously, they were down an 8-0 run to start. I think it was like 12-3 at one point. Things weren't looking great, but they came back due to a lot of threes from Norman Powell early on, and they came away with the victory. They actually won the first quarter 38-31. The offense rolling. We have not seen this offense roll like that in quite some time. A really good first quarter for the Raptors. Second quarter, not as good. The Raptors were -2 in that quarter. However, still up by 5 at halftime. You're feeling okay. Third quarter, again, very low scoring third quarter, 25-23. But the Raptors do win that quarter, and they are back up by 7 at the end of 3 quarters of play. And you go to the fourth, again, offense was just really nowhere to be found for either team. No one was really making shots. It was kind of a sloppy second half for both teams, but defense dug in for the Raptors. Raptors were also missing a lot of wide open shots, and they were playing all right defense as well. But the problem was, when you don't make wide open shots, teams kill you. Now you're playing Brooklyn, a team who's not as good. They're still 13-12 with their loss to Toronto last night, so They're not a terrible basketball team, but the Raptors went out there and won that fourth quarter 20-19 and came away with the 8-point victory, 110-102. Now, let's go to the team numbers here. We talked about Powell, but the Raptors, the struggles continue shooting the basketball. Yeah, Powell's been great. Yeah, we saw Gasol do well, and Ibaka had a double-double, and Siakam had 30. But the team as a whole only shot 39% from the field. That's not good enough. They shot 35% from three. It's better. It's better than what we've been used to seeing. And 80% of the line, 20 of 25. Rebounding minus 8 for the Raptors. And on the offensive glass, only minus 3, 13, 10. Not too bad. 21 assists for the Raptors. And a little bit, once again, a little bit lower. The ball's not moving as much as it was, earlier on in the year. Could be due to Fred VanVleet, who is up near the top in assists per game. But I don't know exactly what the problem is. The problem for the Brooklyn Nets yesterday was turnovers. The Raptors limited their own turnovers. The Raptors only had 11 turnovers last night. Much, much better. We talked about it in previous videos, guys. The turnover numbers were way too high for the Raptors. They were turning the ball over at a huge rate, and that just could not happen if this team wanted to take that next step and be that really good basketball team. 11 turnovers for the Raptors today, much better. Last night, I guess. And the Brooklyn Nets had 20 turnovers. Raptors had, where is it here? 10 steals and 10 blocks. Big time defense for the Raptors in this one. Great job. Point to the paint, minus 10, where the Raptors' second chance points, minus 6. And in the fast break, guys, this right there is the key to this team's victory. Because, as we've talked about, if you guys have listened hard to these videos that I've talked about for quite some time now, the fast break opportunities, the fast break points have been very limited lately. They've been like a 12-11 or, a 15-14 or really, really close games when it comes to fast break. When the Raptors dominate the fast break opportunities, they win a lot of basketball games. And what did they do last night? They absolutely dominated the fast break 32-17. When you do that, you'll win a lot of basketball games. And the Raptors did exactly that. Now, I wouldn't say there's a lot of highlights in this game. Again, I think there's a lot of great plays in this basketball game, but there's nothing really that jumps out to me other than, obviously, like I said, Norman Powell's great play. And Marc Gasol, the aggressive shooting. We're not seeing Gasol behind the arc take the ball and go, and then shoot a three and have it be a total brick. No, you're watching Gasol ready to shoot, get the ball, catch and shoot it, and he's knocking them down. Marc Gasol, guys, had a double-double. 17 points and 15 rebounds. Where has this Marc Gasol been all year long? He shot 6 of 11, 3 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line, had a steal and 2 blocks. Marc Gasol was a monster in the basketball game last night. He was shooting efficiently. He was rebounding the ball. He was the rim protector that we've probably kind of got used to seeing lately from Marc Gasol. And he's a threat from beyond the arc. And when you're a guy like Jared Allen, a guy who doesn't shoot the three at all, it's so hard to guard the three-point line. We all know that with Jonas Valanciunas, people. Remember JV? Every time he got a mobile big who could shoot threes, he was always having problems with them. That's what Marc Gasol is. And when you're a guy who's not a mobile guy like Jared Allen, like an Andre Drummond, guys like that, they can't do that kind of stuff. They can't bang the body up top. They can't do that stuff. They can get the rebounds. They can do that kind of stuff. But when it comes to going out and contesting the three-point line, they're not that good at that kind of stuff. And you saw it from Marc Gasol today. He made them pay. Double-double, 17 and 15. Great job by him. Pascal Siakam, everyone's going to say, he had a great game. 30, 10, and 5 with 3 steals and 3 blocks. I mean, look, that's beautiful. But let's revert back to what we've continuously been talking about since that Utah game, where everyone shot well. Bass, he had 30 and 10, a double-double. Wow, that's so great. 3 of 5 from 3, 7 of 10 from the line. Things are looking good. But he shot 10 of 26, which is only 38% from the field. That has been a consistent theme of not even shooting 40% for Pascal Siakam. Look, last year, he was a consistent 50% guy. That's what we got used to seeing from Pascal, and we were loving watching that every single night. Even to start this year, for the first 10, 15 games, he was automatic. Getting 50%. I think he was shooting like 55% from the field on the year, and things were looking great. But over the last 5 or 6 games, Siakam, look, he's getting his points. 30 and 10 is great. It's a very good number. But the problem is, you want to see this thing consistent. Look, James Harden's a great guy. He's going to drop 50, 45. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, he's an amazing shooter. And he is a great shooter. There's some games where he shoots really, really well. But if you look at his season numbers, the guy shoots under 30%, under 40% from the field and under 40% from three. The reason why he's getting all these points is, one, the free throw line. Number two, he takes a stupid amount of shots. And I do not want Pascal Siakam being a guy like that. I mean, obviously I'd like him to be a James Harden kind of thing, but no one's James Harden. Pascal Siakam has to go back to the ways of making his easy shots. If it's not there, make another play. Look, he's a great player. He's going to make some tough shots here and there as Pascal. That's fine. And there's going to be games where he shoots under 40%. Yeah, I agree. And look, him shooting under 40% and still getting a double-double, 30 and 10, that's awesome. But when you're shooting 26 shots and you're going 10 of 26, that's the number I look at, and I'm like, ooh, that's a glaring number. Like, I love everything else Pascal has done for us, but the consistency factor is the one thing that I'm like, we want to see that more consistently, Pascal. If he added that 30 and 10 with like a 46 or 47% shooting game, that's fine, man. I can deal with that any day. But the 38s, we all know as basketball fans, anytime you shoot under 40%, you didn't have a great game, no matter what you do. Well, shooting-wise at least. Because, look, Pascal had he had 3 blocks in this game. A couple of them are real nice blocks. But for Pascal, you want to see the consistent factor come in, night out. And that's what we want to see. Now, OG Anunoby only played 21 minutes. Didn't really like what we saw from him today. 5 points, 1 board, 1 assist on 2 of 7, shooting 1 of 3 from 3, and he was a plus 10 while he was out there, but again, wasn't really making any shots, wasn't really showing any consistent effort. But we were seeing today is Serge Ibaka, and we talked about in the last video, guys. I think he went like 0 of 8 shooting to Ibaka against the Clippers. He was awful in that game. But as Ibaka said in his post game and in the pregame and whatnot, hey, I know what I got to do to go out there and score. I didn't score in the last one, kind of thing. Yeah, this is not a direct quote. This is me paraphrasing. But I'm a champion. I know how to do it, and I love how he brings that up because he is. And he goes out there today or last night, and in 21 minutes, 12 points, 12 boards, 4 of 7 shooting. All 4 free throws he made, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Serge Ibaka was a beast last night. And that's what you want to see from Serge Ibaka. Kyle Lowry, again, only shot 5 of 14. That's the thing, right? Yeah, guys, he did have 17 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and how many steals did he have? 3 steals in the ball game, but he shot 5 of 14, 2 of 8 from 3, which is only 35% from the field, 25% from 3. Those aren't very pretty numbers. So again, with Kyle Lowry, he's going to give you that defense. You want to start seeing him knock down consistent shots. Did he make some nice shots in last night's game? No, don't get me wrong, he did do that, but consistency. Your best players have to play consistent ball. They have to be consistent. And, watching Siakam shoot 10 of 26, not very good. Watching Lowry go 5 of 14, not very good. OG Anunoby, 2 of 7. I'm not saying they're all going to shoot over 50% every single game, but if you're banking on Gasol going 6 of 11, Powell going 10 of 15 every single night, look, I love those guys, but you can't bank on that. You need one of your main guys to be like that. When Kawhi Leonard was playing with the Raptors and when he had an off night, they didn't look right. Things were a little off, right? With Siakam, he's got to do it consistently. He's got to be that guy. Now, I'm happy with the victory. Don't get me wrong. I love that the team got back into the win column, and their next basketball game is, I think it's on Monday. Yeah, as they welcome in the Cleveland Cavaliers to Scotiabank Arena. We've heard a lot of rumblings about Kevin Love being on the move from Cleveland. I want to hear your guys' thoughts to see if you guys are interested in having Kevin Love on the Raptors. Do remember that contract that he does have is a ridiculously large one. So it's just something to keep in mind, people. They are 6-20. Are the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't care how you win that basketball game. You can crush them. You win by 1. I don't give a darn at that point. You got to pull that victory out. Like against Chicago. I mean, you should have won that game. They're a lot better than Cleveland. Don't get me wrong. The Bulls are a lot better than Cleveland. But 6-20. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They're not a good basketball team as the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they come to town. They come to Toronto. You got to beat them down. I know the Raptors aren't the greatest against teams who are over 500 and who are good teams. You're playing a garbage team. You got to go through an 82-game schedule. You got to face these guys. What you got to do, though, is put that in the automatic win column, and they have to do that there on Tuesday night. All right, or is it Monday? Monday night, excuse me, at 7:30 in Toronto. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys enjoyed this basketball game last night, smack the like button. Do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below what you guys thought of this game. Who is your MVP in this one? I'm going to give a co-MVP. I'm going to give it to Powell and Marc Gasol. Those are my two MVPs in this basketball game for the Raptors last night against Brooklyn. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this game, your thoughts on this team, any kind of trade deadline things you have up your sleeve. Do you have an idea about what this team needs and a possible package you could throw back together? I want to hear your guys' thoughts all in the comments below. Go crazy about this Toronto Raptors team. All right, and guys, Twitter is down below for myself. Follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff. Also, the Patreon account is down below, so if you guys are interested in signing up for that, the link is going to be in the description below. And guys, I will talk to you guys Leafs edition very shortly as they beat the Edmonton Oilers last night, won 4-1 in Oiltown. And hey, 3-1 road trip, that's a pretty damn good one. We'll talk about that very shortly. And as for our Raptors, as we've talked about, their next basketball game is at Scotiabank Arena. They're on Monday night, 7:30 tip-off against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you guys then.